Hello, everybody. Yep, and there you go, stepping on my lines.
I'm used to it being my show.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take a back seat, Mister, just for a couple seconds here. So, am I allowed? Okay, I have permission now. I have clearance to do my intro. So, I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. And today we have the special honor of having with us the Brit from Berlin, Steve Partridge. Everyone say hello to Steve. Oh, there he is waving. He doesn't even need cues. He just does shit. So, how you doing?
I'm good, yeah. I've had a nice day. It's really hot here. I think it was up 20 degrees most of the day.
Yeah. I don't know what it is here. The sun's out, and I'm not a sweaty mess. So, I guess it's okay. So chat, if you could tell me if you could hear Steve properly, that would be super.
Yeah, it sounds okay, alright.
Yeah. Everything seems to be going amazingly. But I would need to touch wood. You could see me in a panel? Oh, you can't see you? I could see you. Yeah, they could see you. Steve, can you turn up your mic volume by any chance? Okay. While he's doing that, let me give everyone some little guide rules of how this time is going to go compared to last week. So what we're going to do, I'm going to grill Steve into an inch of his life. And then about 30 minutes in, we're going to start taking questions from the chat. So we will be looking at the chat and seeing all of your lovely faces and comments. But the questions we won't start getting to until about halfway through. And we'll see if this setup is a good setup. So let me see here. I have a feeling that the chat...
Is my audio better now?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's better, but I could hear you.
Lovely chat people. Is my audio better?
There will be a day when we don't have to ask questions like this all the time.
Then I want to come back.
Yeah. That's pretty much everyone's thing. We'll come back when this isn't so shit. Yeah, I could still hear you. Okay. Getting through all of this. Where is... I have too many windows open. I'm sorry, guys. And we're gonna... What's that?
I got rid of all my windows so I wouldn't have any confusion.
Well, you're not frickin' steering this boat into an iceberg, okay? So...
FYI, I'm sitting on my laptop, so I can't get any laptop.
I don't know if you should actually sit on it. Okay. He is using a headset, Liz. I guess you're just quiet. So... I could hear you fine, so... And it's recording your audio. He might have to turn his head like Steve did last week. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Profile is not a good look for me.
Shout something.
I love Booktube.
Okay, I'm going to try this. Shout something again. And now I can't hear him at all. Where'd he go?
I couldn't hear you either.
Oh, okay. Well, then that didn't work at all. Okay. What's that? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is still a work in progress, guys. I'm sorry for the suckiness. I can't hear him very well. Steve's audio is incredibly faint.
I try without the headphones.
It might. I'm probably super loud. What was that? There is nothing coming out of you now. Unless you were doing that on purpose.
No. Okay, I'll put it back in. I suppose faint is better than silent.
Okay. So he's put it back in, guys. Is that any better? All right. While we work this out, let's talk a little bit about your Booktube birthday. So that happened. Much better when he leans forward. But if you have your earbuds in, don't you have a mic on your earbuds?
No, is this better?
Yeah, there you go.
Can people hear me now? I didn't realise this was a microphone.
You should definitely sit on your laptop. And, yeah.
So can the chat confirm that this is better? It's probably really loud now. They're like, what the fuck is he doing?
It's not really loud.
Okay, so Becky says it's better if I lean forward, so I'm just going to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's my Booktube birthday. It's my first year. I made my first video at the end of April 2017. And it's gone really fast. So I did have 2 breaks. I had like 2 1-month breaks, mainly due to like health problems. So I guess technically it's 10 months. But I still feel like, I was very much involved in Booktube despite those breaks. And it's gone so fast. I think the years go fast anyway at the moment. But I think I've made nearly 90 videos as well, which is insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
You made
And there goes the Cylon. And he's frozen. Steve is frozen. And we just had him talking good. Technology at its finest. Oh, wait, there he is. Okay, everything's back to normal.
Did I go?
Yeah, you froze.
Oh no, mid-flow as well.
Yeah, I think you were talking about your 599 subscribers.
Oh my god, that annoyed me. So, yeah, like, Booktube anniversary, like, hit 600 subscribers, and they went to make a video, and then like 10 minutes before I started filming, I lost one. So I went from 600 to 599, but now I think I'm healthily in the 600 mark now, 603, I think.
Yeah, my guess is Britta was trolling you.
Yeah, I've actually got, I'm keeping these for posterity.
Yeah.
So here's number 1, and then we've got version 2.0. And I just have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow night. It gets more intense every week.
Yeah. She's going to grill you, dude. It's going to be bad. So
is the audio better now? I'm still kind of anxious about it.
Yeah. It's doing much better. Oh, Steve Donahue just liked the tweet. So he might be in here trolling you in a minute.
Okay. Oh, brilliant.
But yeah, I need you to make a wish, and I want you to blow out my iPhone. Okay. So make a wish and then blow. It's got to be a good one. It's a Booktube wish.
It's a Booktube blow. Okay.
Oh, this is dead air.
I've done it. I've made it. Ready?
Yeah. Oh, look, you did it. You blew it out. That was amazing. Yay. So hopefully that wish comes true.
No, you have to sing happy birthday to me, don't you?
I think the chat should. So
Oh,
if someone in chat would like to type out the words to happy birthday and pay the patent for that.
Doesn't Michael Jackson own the patent for that?
I think he does, because the...
or is that like an urban myth?
I don't know. He bought Apple Records, didn't he? So he owns all the Beatles stuff? Or his heirs do? I heard something weird like that. Yeah. And his daughter's going on benders, as they do.
I was in New York, actually, the day he died. It was a very surreal experience.
I was driving down the freeway from LA into Orange County.
I guess it was all over the news.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
We didn't realise what had happened because we were tourists, obviously. And we were walking, like every shop we walked into and every bar was playing Michael Jackson. And after about 2 hours, my friend was like, "Is he dead?" Like, it can't just be a coincidence. And then the next day, like, people were selling T-shirts. The taxis had like written Michael on top of their little triangle things. Yeah, it was really weird to be there though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to wipe my face constantly like I do in my live streams and apologise.
That's fine. Here he goes.
That's what everybody expects.
And the good thing is that the video froze right before you did it, so nobody saw it.
Oh, it's like self-editing.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
That's nice.
So, what I was gonna say about Michael Jackson, there was a brief period where, for some reason or another, I was involved with somebody who had written a children's book about Michael Jackson. And
controversial.
Yeah, very controversial. And it was like I was going to help her market her book or something like that. And it was like a picture book and everything. And I'm not 100%, but I think it was called Duck Butter. And
that just sounds creepy.
Well, that's what he called the nasty stuff. If you know what I'm talking about.
No, I missed what you said.
That's what Michael Jackson called the stuff.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and the book was about a kid coming out and standing against him, saying that he was molested by Michael Jackson. And I was like, what the fuck is this book? And this is why you shouldn't take on jobs until you actually read the property. But yeah, I kind of walked away from that one. It was very weird. So
I once took a contract to edit a non-fiction book written by like a gang don, and like he kind of threatened me throughout the entire process, telling me that he could get someone from Oxford University to do it for half the price, and I wasn't to tell anyone about his secrets, and then I just kind of gave the job away. Like I really feared for my safety. Like he wanted me to edit it, but also just like threatened to kill me.
That's
and for
amazing.
Like £5 an hour, I wasn't very happy.
Yeah, fucking Odesk. But yeah, so there was speaking of that, there was a movie. Do you remember who was it Whitey Bulger? Is that what his name was? The gangster that was like, he ran from the FBI for like 30 years and then they found him in like Santa Monica or something like that. And they just made a movie about him a little while. Okay, well, before he got caught, this Polish film producer came to me and said he wanted to make a movie about him because he knew he was about to get arrested and he wanted to make sure that he had the film made before he got arrested because he knew where he was at. And I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do any of this. I need you to, like, get out of my house. You're kind of scaring me a lot. So, that's fun stuff. Like, everyone is into scary stuff, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it or else things would happen.
So the
So,
arts are vicious.
yeah. It's not the arts themselves, it's the people who make the money off the arts. They're very terrifying.
Yeah.
But anywho, you... now that we got the murdering out of the way, you were talking about you have a giveaway going on. Did you pick the names? Is that done today?
So the giveaway is to mark my 1 year on Booktube, and it ends. So you can enter up until midnight Central European time. So it's currently 8:20 here in Berlin. So if you still want to do it, you can go to my channel and go to the video and leave a comment on that video saying which of the 2 sets of books you want.
And which books do you think have the more votes?
Oh, I didn't know actually, because I've got them like in a little box here, and I've made a list as well in case I forget. I think it's the Penguin Modern ones, like the mint green ones, are in the lead at the moment.
Because me and Zoe were watching it, and I was like, ooh, I want the mint ones, and Zoe's like, I want the black ones. And so we had this big conspiracy theory that we were both going to enter and both win, so we would get all the books. But
yeah, I thought that I should have said like no spouses or something.
Like one per household.
Yeah,
you know?
It. Yeah, one per household is the phrase, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't do it any other way.
I just noticed how long the delay is.
Oh yeah, is it bad?
I've only just held up the post-its in the live version.
No way.
That was about 20 minutes ago.
It's not that bad. That might just be you. Well, I don't know.
Might just be me, yeah. It doesn't matter, I guess. Because unless nobody is speaking in the chat, I don't see any comments either. And I just blew out the candle now.
Oh, look at you. Is this thing on? Okay. Yeah, boom. Okay, yeah, we're pretty much close. Yeah.
So the giveaway, ends tonight. It's my first one. I'm quite excited to do it as well.
How do people get to enter if they haven't entered yet?
So they just need to leave a comment on the video, and if you follow me on Twitter at @STPartridge, it's the pinned tweet, or you can just go to my channel and just post on that video. And then I've taken everybody's names, and I'll draw 2 names out of the hat for this small box on Monday in a recorded video.
Yeah. Well, if you guys don't know,
it's international as well.
So anyone around the world could get it. And you have to pick.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, so I ask in the comment that you either say you want the Political Classics or you want the Penguin Moderns.
And they both look amazing. Me and Zoe were really...
I read Susan Sontag's book. Do I have it here? Yeah.
How big are those books?
I don't know what the sizes are, because the paper sizes are different in the UK and the US, aren't they? It's like, let me just grab a normal paperback.
Okay.
Because I put one in my back pocket, like a pocket stuff. I had Susan Sontag in my back pocket as I was walking around.
Did you have it so the name was hanging out of your pocket so people behind you could see what you were reading?
Well, I did it so that they thought I was called Susan.
How'd that work?
Well, like all of my attempts at romance, nobody was interested.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the
Okay.
things I wanted to do today, because
Okay.
if you haven't been to Sundays with Steve on his live stream, I will catch you up real quick. One of the things that Steve ends up talking about is how shit he is at his social life when it comes to dating and the apps he uses for that stuff. So, what I decided to do was kind of interview you as if I was a dating service to try
Okay.
to get, because it might just be you are really bad at selling yourself up front. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
You got that job, but then they came on your live stream, and when you were talking about pegging or fisting or something, and
No,
it
I
was
was showing them live my Grindr profile. And then he said to me, like, oh, I dropped into your live stream last week. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like, yeah, you were showing everyone your Grindr profile. I was like, what a time to come in.
okay. So I'm gonna grade you on your answers
Okay.
here, and chat if he answers something really poorly, let him know in the chat. But also give him some like props if he says something really good. So this is
Yeah,
kind of like straight eye for the queer guy, okay? And that trademark is pending, so no one rush off and do
yeah.
that. This might
We're going to
take
do
off.
it.
Okay, so
Okay, I'm ready.
when someone says something to you like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Well,
Where are you going?
normally they ask if I'm British because obviously I don't live in the UK. So my accent is normally like the first thing that someone will comment on. And it still has a lot of currency, even within Europe. Like people are still like, "Oh my God, I love your accent."
Yes.
So normally they just ask where I'm from. So I'm actually from Coventry, which is a well, it's a medium post-industrial town city. Sorry, in the middle of England, next to Birmingham. It's mainly famous for being destroyed during World War II. And Lady Godiva. Does everybody know the Lady Godiva story?
This is really good, but you're coming off really smart. And it might be a problem.
Yeah, true. See, this is my problem.
You're coming off extremely bright. Okay,
Okay.
what's the story of Lady Godiva? Because I just know about her chocolates.
So Lady Godiva, God, this is going to make me sound even worse. So to protest a rise in taxes, Lady Godiva rode through the streets of Coventry on a horse with her breasts out in protest.
Nice.
So there's a big statue where all the Goths hang around in the middle of Coventry of Lady Godiva with her tits out.
And that's where you used to hang out, right?
That's where I used to hang out.
Okay, and that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about. This whole you being a goth as a young whippersnapper.
Yeah,
So,
good days.
what were you into? Who'd you listen to?
I was very, very commercial. I'll be honest, I was more interested in the aesthetic. So I came into that scene when nu metal was at its highest.
Oh, effing hell. Okay, continue.
Yeah. My friends were really cool though. They were into like hardcore, post-hardcore, mathcore, everything, something core. And I just really like Marilyn Manson. I went to a Marilyn Manson concert once in Birmingham. I basically bought a glitter shaker. And bear in mind, I had like long black hair, amazing makeup, and I just like covered myself in glitter on the train. And then when I got to the gig, I got right to the front, and he spat on me.
Oh my gosh. Was this Mechanical Animals era?
No, this was Golden Age Grotesque.
Ooh, that was a good stage show.
Yeah, I wasn't keen on the album, but the stage show was really good. He came down in like an armchair.
So you weren't listening to like like Bauhaus or Christian Death or like Susie or anything like that, were you?
No, like, I would know it, but I've never been a very musical person. I've always been very like textual. Um, See, this is not good dating talk either, is it? I'm always very textual. But it's true, I've never really connected with music unless it's like highly emotional. So I really enjoy Gregorian and Syriac and Armenian chant and 80s power ballads, to be honest.
I don't know how you're single. Like, I don't know. I don't know how this is happening. 80s power ballads. Okay. So when you go up to someone to get to know them, do you start with like, so what's your story, buddy? Like what's your tell us about yourself line?
I'm actually like pretty confident when it comes to speaking to people like in bars. I've never really had a problem with that. When I was younger and kind of slim and androgynous and beautiful, I used to walk up to people and I would say, I'm going to talk to you now. And that worked so many times. These days, I'll probably just kind of like flit around like a butterfly, hoping they hear my accent and they're intrigued by my like exotic nature. But I often go to bars that are very small, so you end up having quite organic conversations.
Yeah, I think if you walked up to people now and said, "I'm going to talk to you now," they would call the cops. Like,
yeah, because I'm not young, slim, and androgynous and beautiful anymore.
Well, it's kind of threatening. So you come off as very threatening and way too smart. Okay.
Yeah, but you have to remember though that this is taking place in gay bars, and gay bars are far more open.
Yeah.
Sexually, they're just far more laid back. You know, you can talk to somebody and make a friend. It's not always like people have this idea. I think that everyone just walks around their cocks out.
No.
When you go to straight clubs, like as a teenager, they're far more sexually charged. I've found than a gay bar. Because in a gay bar, everyone's just there to like be in the same space and have a nice time.
Yeah.
They're really like comfortable places. I mean, if you go like to Schöneberg in Berlin, then yeah, there's like hourly fisting or whatever.
Oh.
You don't have to go into that kind of side of things.
Yeah. So it's more like the straight clubs are more like that underage disco on In-Betweeners.
Yeah, but like, okay, I don't want to say all these horrible words because people are just going to... when I used to go to like straight clubs when I was in my goth phase, basically everybody was in the corner just having digit sex, let's just put it that way.
Wow.
And there was me like twirling around.
For some reason, the term digit sex is more offensive to me than what you would have said. Yeah. Okay. So now, when someone says, what do you do for a living?"
So, excuse me, wipe my nose. So I've just got a new job, and I'm going to be... Oh, this is for dating, right? So I meant to make it sound good.
Yeah, because you already fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're still there, I would say, so I've got this cool new job. I'm working for an audiobook and podcast company. I'm going to be their host. I'm going to be their host of their YouTube channel and their podcast.
Very
That's
nice.
Cool.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah, I've told like people I've met in the last 2 weeks have been like, "Oh, that's really cool. Like, how did you get that?" And I got it. I think. I don't know if my new boss is watching again, but at least I've got Grindr open this time. But I think part of the reason I got the job was because I had a channel. So I'm kind of thankful to YouTube for that.
All right, now here's one that could stir up some shit. So you got to figure out a nice way to work this. Are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not a vegetarian. I used to be a vegetarian for 5 years, and I stopped eating meat in my first year of university. I started eating meat again in the first year of university.
Why?
I think I I became vegetarian because it was part of the lifestyle that I was involved in that kind of, you know, alternative goth lifestyle. Was a big thing in that lifestyle. And I was like vaguely involved with neo-paganism because I've technically been involved with every single religion on earth. So that was part of the scene with neo-paganism. And then when I went to university, I just really wanted a bacon sandwich. And it was a lot cheaper. It sounds terrible, but I lived in London. I lived in central London at university. I came from a working class background. I didn't have loads of money, and it was easier and cheaper to eat bad meat, which sounds terrible, but it was true.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a poser thing at the beginning.
When I look back, it was a poser thing, but to give myself the credit, I really did kind of believe in it as well. I like the fact that it made me look interesting. So I'm actually thinking about it again. I always go through these periods of vegetarianism because I'm a big animal lover, but I think it's really contradictory, and this is the controversial thing, to say that and then to eat them.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, I think, for people, because we live, like, especially in Germany, like, it's a very big meat culture, you know, like sausage, salami.
Hell yeah.
It's just everywhere. So it's hard. It's hard to remove that. Although Berlin is one of like one of the easiest cities to be vegan in the world. I think it's veganism central here.
Really?
Yeah, it's everywhere. Restaurants, supermarkets. It's
because everyone's pushing sausage down your throat and stuff, right? So it's a little. Okay. So you got to come up with something fun here. So, what did you do last weekend? Tell me some fun things you did last weekend.
So last weekend, I think people might have noticed on the channel that I've been talking a lot about sobriety. Is that boring?
Yeah. But keep going.
I've got a good one then. I've got something that makes me look well-rounded.
Okay.
What did I do, actually? I can't remember. So, I've been trying to get new hobbies. Because I'm not drinking, I need to, like, readjust my social life. So one thing I thought I would do is I've taken up a medieval art, and that is the creation of illuminated letters. And I'm going to show you it.
Okay.
Show you it.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, wow.
You see the gold?
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, so that's, I started that last week, and I've done a few. Here's another one.
Oh, that's the H you were talking about.
Yeah, so, I've just given it away now. So basically, for the two winners of the giveaway, I'm going to give them a few extra things as well as the books. But one of them is I'm going to write them like a letter, and then this is the H for hi. I think it's really cute.
It is.
Oh, and look, hang on. It's got Godot at the bottom.
Oh my goodness. That's another thing we were gonna try to figure out. How do you sell your dog to someone who you're talking to for the first time?
Well, he's made of wood.
So if someone says, "Do you have a pet?" you say yes.
I say yeah. He's made of wood. He wears a bow tie. He's great at holding doors open.
Okay. This might save you a little bit from the last question. Yeah.
Okay.
Go on then. Becky Ford said, "I thought with the B and the H, he was making a new sign for Britta."
That's brilliant. The amount of effort I would have to put in to do that, I don't know if Britta's worth it, to be honest.
Oh, snap. So...
Only joking, Britta, I love you.
Yeah, I don't see Britta in here yet, so I think you're okay for the moment. What's your Chinese zodiac sign.
Is that my astrological sign?
No.
Oh.
It's your Chinese one.
How do you figure that out?
From a Chinese zodiac handbook, I guess. I don't know what it is. I'm just thinking that's super hip.
Zodiac almanac 2018 and
Okay, so you failed the Chinese zodiac question. This is not looking good for you, Steve. I'm really sorry, but
actually, I'd like to ask the chat if what star sign do they think I am. That would be quite interesting, unless they already know, because I did do a birthday video last week.
Okay, so that means it's not January through April. We got it.
Genau, correct.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, have I left the chat? Oh, no,
Are you a Sagittarius? I bet he's a Virgo.
I am not a Sagittarius.
Virgo?
No go.
Damn it. Cancer or Leo?
Well, which one do you think's more fitting?
Leo.
So Liz Schubert also says Leo. I can kind of see that. Like, I don't really follow astrology.
Cancer.
Yeah, I'm a Cancerian.
All right.
But an interesting fact, actually. Well, I built this up, but it's kind of interesting. So I was born exactly at midnight. So my mum had to choose which day she wanted my birthday to be on. Isn't that cool?
Did she pick the second day?
Yeah, I think so. I think I think I was born on a Thursday. And fun fact, so I'm born on the 18th of July, which is both Nelson Mandela's birthday and the publication day of Mein Kampf.
Nice. You should lead with that.
People when I meet them.
Yeah. Especially in Berlin. That should go over really good.
It's all right. Nobody's German here. It's fine.
Okay. So, chat, how do you think he did?
Would you date me? Men or women, straight or gay or otherwise?
I have about another 150 questions, but I think we should open up the questions to the chat now to try to see if they have any good questions for you. Like, are you a morning person?
Strangely enough, I've always been a night owl, but I've kind of found that since I stopped drinking, I get up at about 5:30 every morning now, and I go and get a coffee and I sit outside, and I've just got so much more energy. But now I've found I'm almost kind of blessed because I'm really enjoying the mornings, but I also really enjoy the evenings. So I'm kind of both.
Wow. And that's because you're not drinking.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So if the chat has any questions, go ahead and throw them in there.
Let's be fair to the chat at the moment. They are most people who come to my live stream.
Yeah.
About me.
That is
it.
it.
You ask me some questions until somebody...
But these are, like, you could ask him horrible things that you're afraid to ask him on his live stream.
Yeah,
like,
I'm quite open. I don't mind. I will discuss most things.
Okay, so let me see here. What else do we have here?
Very rarely offended as well, so...
If you could be a character in any book, who would you be?
Oh, I missed that. You'll have to say that again.
I said, if you could be a character in any book, who would you be?
Gosh. To look. I would be... So I'm not going to pick a specific character, but I would like to live in the world of the Wool trilogy. Do you know that trilogy?
The Hugh Howey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I really like... I have this weird thing where... Do you remember the game Worms?
No.
So it's that little game where you were worms and you used to fire things at each other. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay, so... Yeah, okay, I'm going to have to go on a tangent here. The aim of the game was to, like, destroy the other firing bombs and missiles. When I played Worms, I didn't do that. I used to build a bunker and sit in it and wait. And as a kid, I was obsessed with castles. I was obsessed with locks and doors and bolts. And then the King Harry books, if you don't know, are set in underground silos. And I have this really weird interest in like tiny micro communities. God, I'm so bored.
You should just go up to someone and say, "Hey, I would like to take you into an underground silo."
Come with me to my silo. I just really like that. Like, and you know, people that build like hobbit houses in real life.
Yeah.
I just really like. That's why my bedroom is so tiny. Like, I feel safe in like cramped spaces.
So you don't get claustrophobic at all about anything?
The irony is that I do get claustrophobic. So maybe it's like masochistic or something. I don't know.
What's the worst claustrophobic place for you?
I don't have one in reality, but I have one in dreams. I have this recurring nightmare where I wake up in the nightmare. So I'm asleep, and then I wake up, and I'm lying down flat on my stomach, and the roof is only like an inch above me and an inch to the side of me, and I'm stuck in a labyrinth, and I have to crawl in it. And that really terrifies me. Like, I always wake up like sweating. It's really scary.
Wow. So it's like Labyrinth, but not as fun.
Yeah, without David Bowie.
Yeah.
And his bulge.
Good Lord. Yeah, he was kind of all over the place on that.
I forgot that he died, actually.
That's a horrible thing to say.
No, but honestly, I woke up one morning, I think it was at the end of last year, and I thought, God, wouldn't it be awful if David Bowie died? Then I Googled it, and I forgot he was dead.
Oh, that's really bad.
I know. It's like a cultural icon from my own country.
Wow. Yeah, it was really kind of a depressing thing over here. It's weird because you never notice how many people like somebody until they're dead. Like, there were all these like people I know who I could have sworn were the dumbest people on earth who were suddenly very shaken up that Stephen Hawking died.
Yeah, I tweeted about that when he died. I said kind of, it was actually really encouraging in a way that so many people had kind of, displayed their grief for a scientist. It wasn't a singer, wasn't an actor, wasn't a wrestler. It was someone who, in my opinion, despite, awful physical problems, has opened up the universe. It's incredible if you think about that. Like, his one mind has opened up the cosmos, and to feel like that everybody felt touched by that, I think was just an amazing outpouring of like public emotion.
I don't think people were really touched by it. I think they were trying to look cool.
Do you think?
Not everybody, obviously, but I think there was a very large amount of people who were like, "Ew, I'm gonna get some brain points right now."
That's true. Yeah.
But
have you read A Brief History of Time?
No, I read the longer one.
What's the longer one?
I'm joking.
Oh.
A Brief History of Time. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I don't read those small books, Steve. Come on.
Well, you read a small book.
Just joking.
Oh, do you feel really jealous about my John Wyndham books?
Yes, those are gorgeous. They're like ridiculous.
When I saw them in the shop, I actually thought if he was like, he's gonna love these.
Yeah, like as soon as we saw him, we were like, oh. So we.
Sorry, go on.
We have some questions here. Reader's Retreat says, "What is your favorite book that is for both of you?" Oh no, the question is for both of us. What is your favorite book? I would say my favorite book right now is Hunger by Knut Hamsun. I've read it like 3 times in the last month and a half, and it's just really good. I really like it.
What's it about?
250 pages.
No, sorry. I
All
mean,
right,
what's the
I know
story?
I'm joking. Um,
Oh,
it's it's about a guy who is a journalist who is starving and super poor in Oslo, but it's what Oslo was called before Oslo was Oslo, and this is like
okay.
late 1800s, and he keeps going through these states where he has no money, but he doesn't want anyone to think that he's poor. So like he'll like get money and then give it away to somebody in public so he could look like he has money, but then he'll like struggle for the rest of the week. And it's just like I'm really into these books lately where writers are kind of shooting themselves in the foot. So like uh, Ask the Dust, which was like my favorite book like 2 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
by John Fonte, Nausea,
By Sartre.
yeah, which I didn't like as much as I liked the idea of the book. Um, and then I'm reading Journey into the Center of the Night by Celine right now.
I like that title. That's nice.
Yeah, uh, just the Underground. What the hell? Notes from the Underground. So all these books like that, I've been really into. So you answered the question now, sir.
Yeah, I'm really bad at favorite questions. I never answer them in tags. But I think my favorite book as an adult is probably Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. Because, excuse me, wiping my nose again. Because it was kind of the book that pushed me into like serious reading in my late teens, I guess. And it's also about kind of like religion set in a small American town, and I really like things that are set in small American towns because I like small things. Apparently, I don't know why I'm obsessed with that. And it's basically an old pastor, an old reverend writing essentially like a love letter to his young son because he knows that he's never going to see him grow up because of his advanced age.
Yeah.
And Marilyn Robinson is just blessed, I think, with the ability to write fiction and non-fiction. Because her essay collections, like one of them is The Death of Adam, is so good. She just writes about really like disparate themes. Other books, I wasn't a Harry Potter kid. All of my friends were, but I read His Dark Materials, and that was the book, the set of books that got me into reading, and I was pushed into reading by an English teacher, Richard Hoare. Hi sir. And he really opened me up to reading, as did my parents and my grandmother. So yeah, I'm not really sure if I have like a collection of favourites, really. But yeah, I'll go with Gilead.
What's your favorite childhood movie? That's from Cup of Books. And Red Viper, I'm going to get to yours in a second here.
I think my favourite childhood movie was The Never-Ending Story.
I'll tell you.
Although I've never read the book, but my favourite movie of all time is Beetlejuice.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt, a Beetlejuice T-shirt that I sometimes
I
wear.
saw it, yeah.
Some, I think I showed it in one of my early videos. I had like a replica of the Dead made. The handbook, sorry, not the Book of the Dead. That's a Tibetan thing. The handbook for the recently deceased. I had one made by this guy on Etsy.
Yeah, I saw those on Etsy. Those were great.
Yeah, but I've had it for years and years. I bought it in 2011, I think. I don't have it with me here, and I have a figurine that my parents bought me.
Nice. How many books would you want to have read before you die? This is from Red Viper Reads.
That's kind of difficult because I don't keep track of my books. I'm probably one of the few booktubers that keep track of books that they own and the books that they read in terms of like numbers. I don't have any idea of how many books I've read. And I don't know how what number would I feel satisfied at?
Yeah. Because new
because,
books are being made all the time.
Well, exactly. There's like 300,000, isn't there, in English, just in the UK and the US combined? And obviously, people like Steve Donahue. If you read 100 and something a month, that's just an insane number, isn't it? I read like 3 a month. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. A lot.
Yeah.
To have read a lot.
Let's see. What are your least favorite genres and why? And that's from Nettle Books.
My least favorite, probably romance, because I haven't really read much of it.
Do you read like hardcore erotica though?
No, never. I've never read any erotica. I read the first 50 Shades of Grey, and I read what was it called? Transgressions, which is a gay blacksmith novel that I saw on Steve Donahue's channel, and I thought, oh, that sounds a bit saucy. I'll have a look at that, and it was really rubbish. I just don't really get romance, but I think the reason I haven't got into romance is because I don't, and I hate to use this word, but I don't feel represented in the romance. I don't really want to read about like a count and a baroness,
Yeah.
I don't want to read about that. I want to read like either about modern straight or gay people in their 30s, and I don't know if that really is out there, is it?
It might be. I don't know how exciting and like flying off the shelves it would be. Like one of them would have to like be someone who like builds motorcycles from scratch or something, and the other one would have to be like something like a skydiver or something.
Yeah, a dickhead, basically. I just want them to be like normal people. So yeah, romance would be one genre. The other genre, I don't read a lot of nature either, like natural history. But these are books. Natural history isn't something that I hate. It's just something that I'm not exposed to, and I never feel that interested in it. Last year. I read the Robert McFarlane book. What's that called? Non-fiction people. What's the Robert McFarlane book called? Lost Words or something? It was about the use of like rural dialects and words in England. That was all right, but it didn't really hold my interest that much.
Yeah.
Nature writing, romance probably.
With me, the romance thing and the erotica and all that stuff, I have a problem because as I read it, once it starts getting saucy, I don't think of the characters anymore. I think of the person sitting in front of their like keyboard writing it, going like, "Ooh, yeah, this is good. Ooh, yeah," and I and I get all really weirded out. And yeah,
because that is happening. That has happened somewhere. Like, there is someone thinking like, "What's this adjective? What adjective can I use for like girth?"
Oh my gosh. Okay. What literary classic do you hate? That's from Toki Deathhammer.
And I apologise in advance to my American subscribers, but I hate, and this is a very strong word. Again, it's the same with like romance and stuff. It's got to be Moby Dick, and I hate it.
Oh, Zoe's gonna punch you.
I know, so I'm just gonna everyone's gonna hate me, but I can't get into it. I've got a really lovely vintage Red Spine edition at home. I've had it for years and years. I bought it when I worked at a bookshop, and I can never get past that first bit at the start where it's all about newspapers or something. It's just so weird. And then all I hear is that it digresses into like whale science, whaleology or something, and I just can't do it. I don't hate it. I really like the idea of it. Like nautical things. Ryan Garrison just added me saying stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Like, just so everyone knows, I would rather if you kept to yourself if you didn't like Moby Dick. If you're gonna like be in the chat saying things like this, just keep it to yourself.
Well, Becky's already said it.
I know. That's why I tried to stop this before it gets out of hand.
What about you though? What's your like least favorite classic?
to be honest, there are quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think.
Are we talking Victorian classics as well, aren't we?
Well, that's all I think of when I think of classics.
So do
Because,
I.
like,
only
when
mean
I was
in
in
the other way.
school,
Sorry,
like,
go on.
when I was in school, the classics that we had to read were all, like, Victorian classics. And then as I got older in school, like, and in college, I started finding, like, Steinbeck and Hemingway and other things that were considered classics, but weren't so wordy. And I know that sounds a horrible way to say it, but like I don't know if it's my ADD or what, but I'm a fan of getting to the fucking point. And I don't give a shit what color the leaves were on the ground compared to the leaves in the tree. And that's just me being an asshole. So
No, I sort of agree. There's something about Victorian novels that I've always said when people ask me about classics. What I find really difficult in the terms of the reading experience is that you have all this like description and dialogue, and then the main thing in the book, like the getting married or saying I love you, is like one sentence.
Yeah.
And then it just carries on. But you read the back of the book and it's like, you know, it's this huge love drama, but the love drama takes like one page, and then it's back to talking about rose bushes.
Exactly.
Like, oh my God.
And to be fair, I've always loved like gothic horror and stuff like that. And as I am getting older, reading the classics that I am reading, I am appreciating them more. But because I've hated everything for so long, that's a odd question for me at the minute. Next question. Who is your favorite theologian? This is from Mark at Richardson Reads.
My favorite theologian is probably Hans von Balthasar, who was a Catholic theologian who wrote an enormous series of books, and I used him quite extensively in my dissertation. So in my dissertation at university, so for those that aren't aware, I did Christian theology at university, and my dissertation was on Samuel Beckett's absurdist theatre and apophatic theology. So apophatic theology is a fancy word for negative theology. So understanding God by what it, he, she isn't, rather than what he, she, it is. So he was quite influential on me. Who else was a biggie for me? Jürgen Moltmann is quite a big one for me. Simone Weil, although it would be controversial to say that she's a theologian, although I do consider her one. Who else do we have? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the books here. I don't have my theology books here with me. Timothy Radcliffe is someone who I've mentioned quite a lot on the channel. He's a Dominican friar. He's also been quite influential on my kind of adult spirituality. Ignatius of Loyola and his spiritual exercises are something that I practice like daily in my own life. St. John of the Cross, a mystic theologian who wrote The Dark Night of the Soul, a classic mystical text. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's get back to you being in school, okay? What were you planning on doing with the degree when you were going for it? And he's gone. He's frozen. You there? Well, that's weird. He freezes just as I ask him a very serious question. That is very bizarre. You there, buddy? Okay, let me try this. Hang on, folks. We have a problem. So what we're going to do while I get him back is this. All right. And we're going to come right back. It might take a second. Thank you guys for killing it in the chat. Chat's been very good. Where did he go? Okay. I'm trying to get him back. Actually, I don't need to type that because you can hear me talk. So that's pretty brill. Okay, so it'll just be a second, guys. I promise. Oh my goodness. I need to have something ready for dead air moments. I need like a little cartoon to play. I think that would be good. I'm not getting any messages from him either. Okay. We're starting up again. Talk about yourself until we get him back. The weather here is lovely. I'm almost getting annoyed with the weather. There he is. Can you hear? What happened?
I have no idea. It just hung up on me.
Oh no. Okay.
My internet is full strength and everything.
All right. Well, everything's good. We're back.
Are we back? Are we live again?
Yeah, we're live again.
Hi everyone. Really sorry if you're still here.
Yeah. So, I was asking you. Yeah. Why did you like what line of work were you looking to go into, with the degree you were going for?
So two answers to that basically. So I wanted to go in and go all the way through to PhD and become an academic. And the other reason is that I'm a firm believer that education isn't only there to get you a job at the end. I guess that would make me like a humanist, despite my subject area. I believe that you should go to university to like grow as a person, like intellectually, socially.
Yeah.
So when I went to uni, I thought, because obviously it costs a fortune in the UK as it is in the US. I thought if I'm going to spend this money and I'm going to spend 3 years doing this, I want it to be a subject that I'm really passionate about. I don't want to go and do business, which is fine if you want to do business, but I have no interest in that. So I went really far out and picked theology.
That's amazing. I was this close from doing the same thing when I was 18. Yeah.
Why?
I thought that would be the way to go, and then go to seminary school.
Yeah.
And then the world shut those doors on me. And
in what sense, if you want to talk about that?
I didn't get into the school I wanted to go to. Okay. So I kind of blew that off, and then I tried to get into a mortuary science program.
Wow.
Where I would be embalming people. And when I went to the meeting with the counselor person, and they asked me why I wanted to do it, I said, because I don't really like people, and I would rather them not talk to me. And then he said, basically, there's the door. Get out of here. Don't come back. And so, yeah. So college was weird for me. So I ended up just taking a lot of philosophy classes and then realized that nothing I took could actually get me any kind of degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I was kind of lucky, I think. Oh, is it gone again?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I was quite lucky because later on in my degree, I realized that I wanted to work in publishing, and a lot of people with theology or philosophy go into that because you basically spend 3 years studying a book, and you're very kind of textual and like you can think critically, and you can work with arguments, and it was a really easy kind of transition from theology to publishing.
Yeah.
And I did work like for a couple of like publishing places, but I've always had. So I went in. Maybe I'll just give you like a little bit of backstory to why I chose theology as well. So I don't come from a religious family. My parents are pretty anti-religion, actually. My mum, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, I think my mum would describe herself as an atheist, and my dad would describe himself as agnostic. So I'm not like a cradle-to-grave Catholic or anything like that. And I was really interested in religion generally, in all kinds of religions, Islam and Baha'i and Taoism and neo-paganism, blah, blah, blah. And I always felt like deeply drawn to the Christian story, although deeply repelled because of my own homosexuality. And then when I went into the degree, I always used to say to myself at this point, and I was quite an angry person at this point, my mantra for doing theology was to know thy enemy. Like the only way to kind of debunk Christianity is to get inside of it and to know as much as those who claim to know its truth. Ironically, I then came out thinking I'll be a priest. Once I realised that to be a priest in the Church of England, you have to be gay.
Snap.
Yeah. And then that just kind of never really materialised for me. And then I spent like some time in a monastery, like thinking about whether I had a vocation or not. And then I've always felt that I have some sort of like God sickness. Like I feel drawn to it from so many different ways, both secular and sacral. But I don't think I'm ever going to go through with like the official kind of like lived experience of being kind of like in the established church, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I was not raised in the church at all, and had a rough patch as a kid, or as a teen, and through wanting to try to bag my 10th grade English teacher, I ended up getting involved in a church, and then I wanted to like be a part of it and all this stuff. And then once I saw the behind the scenes workings, and I'm not saying every church is like this, but the churches I was going to and the churches I was a part of, the behind the scenes workings of the church as a, I guess, a financial institution or what you would call it, was just deplorable and made me sick.
What denomination was that?
That was non-denominational and a Presbyterian. Went to a couple different ones, and then I just kind of started that whole thing where if you give any human being power of any kind, it will corrupt that human being, because that is what humans' nature are. Like, there is not a perfect man out there. Like, and that was like really hard for me to swallow, because I was being told what I could and could not do by a human who fails just as much as I did.
Yeah, and I think that kind of relationship is fine as long as that person is open about their faith.
Yeah.
failure is empowering.
But you
isn't it?
can't be open about your failure when you're in a position of power, because then you will lose that position of power, because the other
Yeah.
people around will say you're not good enough to lead us because you failed in this. It's a very judgmental, like when you get into the politicking of it, how a church works. It's very shocking. Well, it was for me. Like
Dare I say, that's kind of my impression of a lot of the American churches as well.
Yeah.
Because perhaps we have an established church in the UK and it's very kind of like cozy and it's all about tea and biscuits and some affairs.
Yeah.
The American church just seems so different to me on a
Well, I think it's
structural level and
on the Christian side of it, like a Christian church that's not a Catholic church, because the Catholic churches seem to have a lot more fun. Like they would have fairs, they would have beer festivals, they would do all this stuff, and I guess like if you did something really bad, you confess and you're done and you have no guilt. Whereas the Christian church, it's like, or the churches I've been a part of, were like, how dare you do this? Don't you know Christ died for you, you horrible person? How dare you? And just like that whole thing, and everyone's very judgy, and everyone's whole focus is let's save people. Once they're saved, I don't really give a crap what we do with them then, but let's save them now.
I can't connect with any of that. Like I just can't connect with it. Like saving souls and making sure the pastor has like his own jet, and it's just obviously it's an extension of capitalism. Like why should the church not be capitalist if everything else in its society is? But I just find it kind of like repulsive.
Definitely.
What would you say your status is now on like the faith spectrum, if you're on it at all?
Well, I think faith is a lot more digestible than religion, and I think everyone out there has a relationship with some type of thing, whether it's a science or a god or a feeling or an emotion or whatever, and that's between them and whatever their power is, kind of thing. I don't think anyone should be involved. Like my biggest thing right now, I think I'm just like a nihilist who is extremely apathetic. That is like my nature at the minute, and I don't think anyone should bother anyone about any fucking thing, and everyone should just mind their own fucking business. So that's my religious. So yeah, that's. Mark says he's the son of an Episcopal priest. He could tell some stories. I bet. Yeah.
Mark was also another possible seminarian, wasn't he? I remember him saying in a video.
Nobody has a private relationship with science. Science doesn't require privacy. Science isn't a religion. Well, I'm going to knock all you guys on your butt, Steve Donahue. The fact that science is not a fact, but a theory, makes it just as much of a religion as a religion. Because you have to have faith in your hypothesis. Boom, mic drop, I'm out. Thanks, everybody. Tip your waitress.
But let's not let Steve dominate.
No.
Keep him in check.
Me and Zoe fight about this all the time because, like, I say, we're not going to know anything until we're dead. Steve's like, that's absolute nonsense. We're not going to know anything until we're dead, so why the fuck argue about it? Science is science, religion is religion. None of us are going to know 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt until we are rotting in the ground, being eaten by worms and maggots. So, that's lovely. Okay, well, that kind of quieted everything down there.
Oh god, Twitter's going crazy.
Yes, science is not a religion, everybody. It's absolute nonsense. What, science is absolute nonsense, or science is a religion? No, it's not a religion, but I think you have to have
Why are you
faith
saying
in
it's
it.
not a religion? Doesn't
Yeah.
everybody know it's not a religion?
No, but what I'm saying, what my argument is, that no one agrees with me except me, is that for every hypothesis a scientist has, they have to have faith in that hypothesis, or else why the fuck are they going through with their experiment? And it's not
Yeah,
fact because it changes every 3 years. Like, oh, we got this new theory about blah 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 blah. So it's just yeah.
I would probably say it in a very poncy way, but I would say that things like theoretical physics are like an ongoing blossoming of our understanding. That they're
Which means that can't be faith. I mean, that can't be fact. It can't be fact if it's ever changing, because facts shouldn't change.
I'm also, and I don't want to get into this because it's such a long discussion, and I know Steve's just going to rant continuously regardless of what we say, but this like obsession with facts, and I don't mean that from a scientific point of view. Like I accept scientific facts; I find them absolutely fascinating and wonderful. But I want to like kind of get back to like humanity a little bit more, like people and emotions and like everyone's always fighting about facts.
Yeah.
And, like,
Although a lot more wars have been fought over faith than fact. So.
Yeah, but if you, and I'm not going to dispute that, but obviously people always forget things like Stalin and Mao.
Yeah.
A lot of people died from kind of, atheistic ideologies, and both of them aren't, not one's not better than the other, but I think it's always kind of shock to say like, oh yeah, religion corrupts the world and all that kind of stuff. Like,
True.
has like absolutely terrible crimes on its record, because it's a human institution.
Yes. Well, what I'm going to say to this, there seems to be a lot of people very up in arms about the last 4 minutes of this live stream here. So I'll go ahead and.
It was fun and funny.
Yeah, it was fun. We were trying to get you laid. Everything was okay.
Yeah, basically, get me some goddamn sex. Jesus hasn't helped much.
We'll do a discussion video on my horrible thesis of the world, and we could talk about that there. But my computer is at 4%, so I do have to kind of wrap this up. What's coming up on your channel soon, sir?
So I've got what am I doing? So I've got the giveaway to announce, which I'm really happy about doing.